So let's start. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the session on water scarcity. My name is Maria João Rosa, and I am delighted to be the chair of this session. I am a senior researcher at LNEC, where I'm the head of the Urban Water Unit and the research group on water quality, treatment, and reuse. As in the previous sessions, we will be having, the format of this session will include two keynotes, lectures, and followed by a roundtable discussion with two other invited speakers. And as keynote speaker, I am very honored to have online Dr. Clive Lipchin from Israel. So for obvious reasons, he had to cancel the travel to Lisbon and will be with us online. And he will be presenting a keynote on water scarcity to abundance, how Israel went from desert to oasis. Dr. Lipchin is the director for the Center for Transboundary Water Management of the Arab Institute for Environmental Sciences Studies of Israel, where he oversees research and development projects, workshops, and conferences that focus on transboundary water and environmental problems facing Israel, Jordan, and the Palestinian Authority. He's an expert in water resources management and policy and has conducted research for many international water agencies, such as the World Bank, the European Union, UNDP, and USAID, and has been involved most recently with the European Union's Water Initiative project for the Mediterranean region and the USAID Conflict Management and Mitigation Program and the Middle East Regional Cooperation Program. So right on the very hot issues now. Clive also serves as the CEO of Laguna Innovation, a company that has developed an innovative off-grid and on-site wastewater treatment and reuse technology, and that provides wastewater treatment services to communities, farmers, industry, and any other water user that is not connected to a sewer system. And without further ado, let's hear him. Clive, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for your kind introduction. And my apologies for not being able to be with you in person. But given the situation, that's not possible now, but I'm at least happy that I can present you my presentation online. So what I'm going to be speaking about in the next 20 minutes is to give an overall overview of how Israel manages its water sector in a region of scarcity. So this map, of course, just makes the point that water stress, of course, is a global issue. All continents are dealing with this issue in one way or another. As you can see there in terms of the areas that are colored in oranges and reds, our area, the area of the Middle East, the Eastern Mediterranean, is considered to be a hotspot for water scarcity, as is most areas around the Mediterranean. If we focus specifically with respect to Israel, Jordan, and the Palestinians, we are all considered to be regions that are in accordance with physical water supply, either water poor, dropping below 1,000 cubic meter per capita per year, or actually facing chronic water scarcity, which is below 500 cubic meters per capita per year. And when we think about chronic water scarcity, it means that there is a growing gap between supply and demand, and real challenges to meet those demands as supply grows due to population pressures and increased standards of living, meaning that water consumption is actually growing at the same time that physical water supply is diminishing. And a lot of that impact on supply is also driven by the impact of climate changes in the Middle East and Eastern Mediterranean regions. But this, of course, is not unique to Israel. I wanted to relate also to the fact that this is a conference taking place in Portugal, the Iberian Peninsula, and I'm sure many in the audience know much better than me that the Iberian Peninsula, Portugal, Spain, is also a hotspot with respect to water stress. In our country, in Israel, of course, for those that may be somewhat familiar, Israel is a very small country of only 22,000 square kilometers, but we are quite diverse in our topography, and this relates to the availability of water resources. So Israel can be roughly divided into what is considered to be the coastal plain along the Mediterranean, the central mountain ranges, and then the Jordan Rift Valley, which is part of the larger Syrian-African Rift geological system. And within the Jordan Rift Valley, we have our only significant source of surface water, which is the Jordan River system, as you can see here in this diagram. I also wanted to relate this to give some people a sense of the size of Israel. So I was able to find this graphic, which clearly shows you how Israel fit completely within the territory of Portugal. In terms of water availability with respect to precipitation, in this, which is roughly 400 to 500 kilometers from north to south, we have a very extreme hydrological gradient. In the far north, we can get more than 700 millimeters of rain per year, but very rapidly we drop down to less than 300, 400, and in regions of the country, we are actually below 50 millimeters of rain per year. So we have a very extreme spatial distribution of water availability. And in addition, we have seasonal variation. We have a very distinctive wet and dry season, and we can expect rainfall only in the short winter months. And again, climate change is having a very precipitation patterns and the predictability of rain in the rainy winter season. What are the sources of water for Israel and the region? On the right there, you can see the extent of the Jordan River system, which is made up primarily of the Sea of Galilee catchment in the north, the Jordan River system, and the Dead Sea Basin in the south. This surface water system is a transboundary system. So water allocation also is a political issue in terms of determining how much water different countries in the basin have access to. There are 5 riparians in the basin. We have Syria and Lebanon to the north of Israel, Jordan, and the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank are all riparians to the Jordan River system. In addition to the surface water, a very, very critical source of water for Israel are aquifers. We have 2 main systems. The mountain aquifer system, which is in the middle diagram here, which has a significant part of its recharge in the territories of the West Bank. And we have a coastal aquifer system, which runs along the Mediterranean coastline. And this aquifer is also the only source of water available to the Gaza Strip region as well. Now, one of the challenges that we face in water management in our region is the fact that we have to constantly understand and try to respond to droughts. You can see here a period of time stretching for more than 100 years. And you can see that droughts are a natural phenomenon in this arid region. And we expect droughts to be longer and more problematic over time. Again, this is very much driven by climate changes. So you can see that between the years 2020 and the years 2030, the next drought period is expected to be one of the most extensive drought periods over this historical time period. And so the question is, how is Israel going to ensure that it will be able to provide sufficient sources of water to its population with the reality of these extensive drought periods? And to illustrate that with actually some real numbers, Here we see the country divided into different catchment basins. The numbers are water supplies in million cubic meters of water per year. And these are estimated numbers that the Israel Water Authority determines in terms of what would be at any one time average available water per year. But these are numbers based on hydrological modeling and predictions. In reality, we are always expecting less water than what our models can provide for us. So you can see that we expect total annual natural production to be about 1.5 billion cubic meters per year at any one time, but in reality, it's less, as you can see there. Over the last 17 years of data, we're actually only receiving just over 1 billion cubic meters of water per year. And over the last 2 years, we've actually only been receiving 820 million cubic meters of water per year. Now, what is the significance of this? The significance of this is that the annual average water demand for Israel today is over 2 billion cubic meters of water per year. So what does this mean? We are running a deficit of nearly 1 billion cubic meters of water per year. And how is Israel overcoming this deficit? So what you see here is water demand over a number of years. Latest figures are for the year 2020. And of course, like most countries, and I'm sure Portugal is similar in this respect, that the greatest demand for water is from the agricultural sector. And you can see here that what Israel actually is doing, and I'll explain this a little bit further on, is that the amount of water going to agriculture since the year 2013 actually is stable. Whereas you can see that the amount of water going to the domestic sector is growing. And that, of course, is to be expected because the population is growing as well. You can see there water that we are by treaty required to provide to our neighbors, both Jordan and the Palestinians. But if you look at the figures for the year 2020, total water demand is 2 billion, just over 2 billion cubic meters of water per year. How are we meeting this demand? Well, you can see here in this slide that the way in which we're meeting this demand is heavily dependent on the development of non-conventional water. And here, of course, when we're talking about non-conventional water, we're talking specifically about seawater desalination, but also we're talking about water reuse as well. So if you look at these numbers, you can see again from the year 2013 onwards, the amount of water that is being used from natural resources, which in essence is precipitation, is just over 1 billion cubic meters of water per year. And we are making up the difference to get to that just over 2 billion through the heavy dependence and production of water from desalination. You can see the numbers, how significant the numbers have grown since the year 2008 to where we are now producing nearly 600 million cubic meters of water per year from seawater to from desalination. And what you see here is that in the year 2020, we were actually at a slight surplus of water, just over 5 million. And you can see actually in the year 2015, we actually produced more than 100 million cubic meters of water surplus. And these surpluses are in essence the way in which is primarily due to the development of desalination that has allowed Israel to close this supply and demand gap. For example, if we look at the column for 2008, you can see that we were in a water scarcity deficit of over 500 million cubic meters of water per year. And in the space of just a few years, between 2008 to 2013, we had already closed that gap and even were producing more water, again, primarily because of desalination. Now, the way Israel has been able to do this, to bring online very rapidly these very large and very expensive, very sophisticated technologies, is because water management in Israel is extremely centralized. We have the Israel Water Authority, which has the sole regulatory power to provide water to the various consumers that you see there on the left. And we have a national water supplier who is responsible for distributing water all throughout the country, and also for sending that water to where it's needed with respect to water allocations for Jordan and the Palestinians. The way in which water distribution is done in the country and has allowed for extreme efficiency in water distribution is what you see in this map, which is a diagram of Israel's water network. So water is basically very effectively moved all throughout the country by one national water grid. And this national water grid is connected to surface waters, groundwaters, and desalination systems. And this is quite a unique system. Most water networks distribute water from one source, from a river system, from aquifers. But in Israel, we are able to distribute water from 3 different sources, whether it be from the Jordan River system, from the Sea of Galilee, from groundwaters of the mountain and or coastal aquifers, and non-conventional water from desalination. And this one single distribution network also allows water to be efficiently priced and for water quality to be effectively managed as well. However, the dependence of these large infrastructures, such as the national water carrier, does come with some environmental challenges, specifically the fact that the Sea of Galilee no longer functions as a natural system because it's now managed as the country's national reservoir. And most specifically, the lower Jordan River and the Dead Sea are now slowly beginning to disappear as a consequence of all the water being diverted into this national water network. And here you see what I'm talking about specifically with respect to the Dead Sea. You can see over time how the Dead Sea Basin, which is a unique body of water, today the Dead Sea has dropped over 30, 40 meters. And the consequences of this is that all around the Dead Sea, we are seeing sinkholes, as you see there in the bottom right picture. And this is a direct consequence of the rapid decline of surface water that you see in the graph on the left. And so the development of these national water systems has come with an environmental price. And we have to figure out how we are going to both provide water to our citizens and also figure out the ecosystem costs and how we are going to find ways to save or restore these degraded systems, specifically the Dead Sea and lower Jordan River. Another problem, of course, is with overpumping of aquifers, specifically with relation to the coastal aquifer. As you can see there, because of its proximity to the Mediterranean, that overpumping is leading to a rapid decrease in water quality due to increases in salinity. So this is another challenge in respect to managing the sustainability of aquifers. We have to consider very carefully recharge rates versus pumping rates if we are to maintain acceptable concentrations of salinity in our groundwater resources. Specifically with respect to desalination, you can see here that we have 5 seawater reverse osmosis plants all operating along the Mediterranean. The first system came online in 2005, and the last one that was built was in the year 2013. And this, of course, has made a huge change in the water sector. As you can see here, since 2014, around 70% of our domestic water is now being produced from seawater desalination. Of course, there are goods and bads with respect to desalination. On the bad side, of course, we are reliant on a very energy-intensive technology that is still being driven by fossil fuels. In the case of Israel, it's natural gas. Brine disposal at sea has concerns with respect to impacts on aquatic environments. And so we also have to constantly consider the disadvantages of desalination with all the advantages that they provide, which you see there on the left column. This is just one of the pictures of one of the facilities. Significantly, what you see in this diagram here is the change between 2010 and 2014. In the space of only 4 years, Israel was able to shift dramatically from relying on fresh water to relying on desalinated seawater. And again, this is just illustrating the ability of Israel closing that supply and demand deficit. In the time that's left for me, the next couple of minutes, I also want to just speak on another major means of Israel overcoming water scarcity, which of course is the treatment of wastewater and the reuse of that wastewater for irrigation. So here you can see, for example, one wastewater reuse scheme, which is treating all of the wastewater from the Greater Tel Aviv metropolitan region. In the year 2013, we were generating about 140 million cubic meters of wastewater. That wastewater is all treated at a centralized facility south of Tel Aviv. The wastewater is then injected into groundwater and then later on pumped up and sent via a dedicated effluent network to irrigation in the south of the country. And the significance of this is, as you can see here, is that gradually Israel is relying less and less and less on potable water for irrigation and more on effluent water. And you can see that we predict by the year 2050 that close to 70% of our food production is going to come from treated wastewater. And this again allows Israel to be less reliant on fresh water in agriculture. This is where Israel is with respect to wastewater reuse, and countries that are also doing it. Israel is by far the most developed in wastewater treatment and agriculture as compared to other countries, as you can see here. But again, like with desalination, there are goods and there are bads. The biggest challenge we face with the dependence on effluents in agriculture is the growing concern of what is called contaminants of emerging concern, such as hormonal impacts on consumers, microorganism contamination. So in order to ensure safety with respect to irrigation with treated wastewater, a very effective and very specific regulation and monitoring for all potential contaminants that still might be in small concentrations still in the wastewater that is being used for agriculture. And these are concerns all across the world, where countries are beginning to look at Israel and say, can we adopt similar practices? The question is, what are the long-term implications of potential buildup of contaminants of emerging concern in the effluent water that could be taken up by crops and perhaps find themselves in humans who are the consumers of those crops. And my final slide, issues to resolve in the future. We are in an area where we share water with our neighbors. So we have to think about water allocation between Israel and our Middle Eastern neighbors, allocations for anthropogenic use, for nature, and of course, as I mentioned, how we are to resolve the issue of the Dead Sea. We have to consider the extent of new water, and specifically here we're talking about desalination and the cost of these facilities. Desalination doesn't come cheap. So the economics, the pricing, the building of effective tariffs for these new water sources have to be considered. We have to think about allocations of water from the Jordan River Basin, Mount Aquifer, desalination, recycled sewage. We have to think about a comprehensive assessment of all these different sources of water and managing these sources of water in one comprehensive, unified fashion. Efficiency measures. Israel is very much concentrating on how we can reduce demand, specifically in the domestic sector. There are always challenges there. And as I mentioned with respect to wastewater treatment, of course, we need to constantly be considering on what measures need to be taken to ensure water quality and safety of water in the irrigation sector. And that is the end of the presentation. Thank you very much. I hope I was clear. And if we have maybe 1 or 2 minutes for some questions, I'll be happy to take them. And I will return later for the discussion section as well. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Clive. Many thanks. So we have now time for short questions. A few questions from the audience over there. Rodrigo. Yeah, Professor Rodrigo.
Oh. Yeah, let's see.
Everybody's trying to make them visible
I'm
for
trying to
you.
make myself visible. Oh, here I am. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for an interesting question. And my question is just to give you an opportunity to expand a little bit on your one of the final points about the costs. So how is desalinization and reutilization paid for? How are these costs shared by the different users? So that was my question. Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So the production cost of desalination is roughly $2. Sorry, that's not, no. Sorry, the production cost of desalination is roughly 60 US cents per cubic meter. The water tariff to consumers is about $2 per cubic meter. So I'm not quite sure what it is in Portugal, but water in Israel is not cheap. And there is the attempt to price water as close to its true value as possible. We implement a block rate structure, meaning that most consumers don't go beyond that $2. But of course, if you are an industry or a high-level consumer, you can pay double, triple, or even more for water. So we have as close to true cost pricing. The other thing that Israel has implemented, which I didn't mention in my talk, is Israel has nearly complete individualized metering of water consumers. So every water consumer is connected to a metering device. And what this means is that we have very accurate data on how water is consumed and can price water very accurately. And it allows Israel to have a well-managed and efficient system of generating income from water users based on effective metering. And that money is all directed through local water authorities and is dedicated solely for investments in the water sector.
What about the farming? How do they pay also?
Yeah, so in agriculture, in agriculture it's somewhat different. We all know that farmers are heavily subsidized around the world. It's also the case in Israel. What Israel does with farmers, there's a quota system. So farmers are allocated water from the government every year according to a quota. There's very, very limited abilities for farmers to try to change their quota. And the other thing that Israel does to encourage farmers to take on the treated wastewater is to price that water cheaper than fresh water. So if you are going to use treated wastewater for your irrigation, you'll be paying less than if you were to use fresh water, for example.
Thank you.
Over there. Yeah.
Thank you, Clive. I don't come to the floor because it probably takes too long. But it was a great talk. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Probably a lot to learn. Actually, I come from the Joint Research Center European Commission, and we also try to learn from you. So we work together with Shlomo Wald on the Water, Energy, Food and Ecosystem Nexus. One question concerning the desalination. You obviously, it's or it is obviously said, it's very energy demanding. Are there any attempts to link this to renewable energy? I mean, we did a study on that, and it seems to be quite promising. I mean, photovoltaics, for example. So that would be interesting to see what you're doing on that. And the second thing, I was a bit astonished, you have not spoken about water saving measures, particularly in the agriculture sector. I think Israel is very advanced when it comes to precision farming and actually also the irrigation. Maybe you can also lose a short word on that. Thank you.
Yes, sure. Thank you for your two questions. So on the energy issue with respect to desalination, unfortunately, in my opinion, I don't think Israel is doing enough to introduce renewable energies into our electric grid. The primary source of energy for desalination is natural gas. So our desalination systems are all integrated into the national electric grid and is powered by natural gas. The opportunities for solar or other renewables is somewhat limited due to the size of the desalination facilities. In other words, it doesn't seem yet to be economically feasible to run a large-scale seawater desalination facility purely on renewables. The way that I think about it is we have to do much, much more to diversify out of natural gas. And of course, the most obvious source of renewable energy for us is solar. But in my opinion, I don't think the government is doing enough, even though we have great climatic conditions, to promote solar. One challenge we do have as a small country is we have limited land reserves for large-scale solar facilities. Even though we do have a number of those, there is a policy to promote rooftop solar, but that I think is not going to significantly alter the fact that at least for the next decade or even more, we're still going to be heavily dependent on natural gas. So I think we have a lot to still do on the energy side. In terms of agriculture, yes, you're right. Israel has done a lot of advancements in irrigation efficiencies. Of course, drip irrigation is the one that most people are familiar with. And nearly all of Israel's crops are irrigated with drip, whether it be above surface or below surface drip irrigation. There's a lot of interesting innovations in terms of even improving efficiencies in terms of precision agriculture. Like you mentioned, most of Israel's vegetable crop, for example, is very intensively grown under greenhouse conditions. So we can get very high crop yields through managing microclimates in greenhouses. Those advances in agricultural efficiencies are constantly growing. And there, I think we're doing a really good job in the R&D in efficiencies in agricultural production.
Well, I'm coming also to the spot, I think. Yeah, okay. So, Shalom, Clive. We have been LNEC in groundwater modeling since '86 with a very good cooperation with Israel. A lot of projects with USAID sponsor and also European Union now. And I've been in this last week contacting my good friends there. But I've just a small question to you that we pose in one of these final meetings of these projects. And I'm really interested these days with water energy nexus. And I'm writing some kind of report for one of the Portuguese institutions. And one there with Jacob Baer, my good friend Jacob Baer, Gideon Dagan, and Mekorot, okay, from Haifa, Tel Aviv. I was posing precisely this question, and they were laughing and say it's a good idea, but it's not going on. And that's you have a fantastic difference in from Eilat, the Red Sea, to the Dead Sea, like 400 meters more or less, like 438, as you said. So I've been seeing in some countries like Austria, where you can forward this water 30 milligrams per liter of the seawater, going from Eilat. Of course, you have a high going from the desert, okay, a little bit later in the Negev, but trying to produce electricity while supplying water with a much better quality to the river. And the second question is the same question in Ashkelon and Ashdod, because when you produce the reverse osmosis, you have to put high pressure, and that's the cost, and then it comes out to the sea, and you point out as a problem. But one of the things there is you came out with a lot of pressure, I think still 40 meters. You have like 60 meter pressure, if I'm not wrong, to go to the membrane, and all this 40 meters or whatever, it will be possible through the Judea, your part of the Israel, so all the south, to go to the Dead Sea also. So taking profit of that you have, or making a tunnel through the Judea. Is this on consideration or not?
Okay, thank you for your question. What you are referring to are ideas that have been considered and discussed and researched for many, many years, which is, can we link either the Red Sea or the Mediterranean to the Dead Sea? So, for example, you mentioned Eilat, the project there, or the concept is what's called the Red Sea to Dead Sea idea, but it could also go from the Mediterranean. Now, these ideas were studied quite extensively about 15 years ago now by the World Bank. I was actually one of the consultants on the study to determine the feasibility of such projects. And they are feasible if you think about these projects purely as engineering projects. And even to some degree were considered to be somewhat economically feasible as well, where you could generate a certain amount of hydropower due to the altitude difference, and you would then take that energy and use it to power even more desalination, which would not be at the Mediterranean, but actually at the Dead Sea, and that water would then be actually sent mostly to Jordan, which is much, 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 much more water scarce than Israel. The short answer to your very complex question, the reason these projects are not moving forward is politics. Any of these projects would require agreements between Israel, the Palestinians, and Jordan, because these would be projects that would be crossing political borders. And if there isn't any potential to develop a stable political agreement over these projects, who will pay, how will the projects be managed, what about the water allocations, and onwards, it's unlikely that these projects are ever going to happen. And that's the reality of our region. We only have to think about what is happening now with the war. Politics plays a role. And if there isn't any long-term political stability, these kinds of engineeringly complex large projects, even though they may be feasible engineeringly wise, without a political context in which they can operate, they are not going to happen. So my short answer to your question is, I don't see any of these projects taking place in our region. And that's somewhat upsetting to me, because they would actually provide benefit to the region, both in terms of more water and helping to save the environment. But without a stable political scenario, I don't see them happening.
Thank you,
Sorry
Clive.
to be somewhat pessimistic, but that's the honest answer to how I view these issues.
Unfortunately, we can fully understand your concerns. Just a very, very short last question, because we are completely out of time.
Could you share with us Israel experience on the impacts of desalination plants at sea? Thank you.
Sorry, our experience in what specifically? I didn't quite catch the question.
On the impacts of the desalination plants at the sea.
So the brine disposal.
Yes.
Oh, the brine disposal. Okay,
Brine
thank
disposal, yes.
Sure. So brine disposal, basically, we have on average a 5-kilometer outfall pipe that goes into the Mediterranean, and the brine is discharged directly into the sea. Those brine discharges are monitored on a daily basis. for any potential aquatic impacts. That data has to be reported back to Israel's Ministry of Environment. All I can say is that we haven't yet seen any long-term impacts on the brine discharge. It doesn't mean to say that there are none, but we are not seeing any long-term issues with respect to the brine discharges.
Thank you, Clive. I think we need to stop now and move to the next keynote. Many thanks. Hopefully you can join us again for the debate, right?
Yeah, just sorry, when does that discussion start?
In half an hour from now.
Okay. I'll get online back then. Thank you so much.
It would be great if you could make it. Thank you.
I will. Thank you for everything. Thank you. Speak to you later. Bye-bye.
So now I'm really pleased to introduce my dearest friend and colleague, Dr. Valentina Lazarova. Now we are traveling from Israel to a little bit all over the world, because Dr. Lazarova is really a very experienced and internationally renowned expert on water reuse, 35 years of experience in the fields of wastewater treatment, water reuse and desalination as a former senior expert for the Suez Group, and now as Executive Director of Water Globe Consultants. She has given really a strong contribution to the global water sector, which helped to bridge the gap between science and research, theory and practice, policy and regulation. She is the former chair of the IWA Water Reuse Specialist Group. I would say one of the most active periods of this group, which I'm also pleased to work with, and was very active in many other international organizations, associations, and committees, and particularly let me highlight the ISO standard the ISO Technical Committee on Water Reuse from its very beginning in 2010. And for her outstanding achievement, she received the Distinguished French Awards of CNRS Innovation and was made Chevalier de l'Ordre National de la Légion d'Honneur. My French, it's not that good, by the French government in 2014. So Valentina, 20 minutes, for sure they will be great. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you, Maria Joao. Thank you, everybody, to be today here. I have a special relations with Portugal because all the research I directed with postdoc students and master students, the best were from Portugal. For this reason, I'm really very happy to be with you, and I'm feeling you as my family. So today, what I can say, water reuse is a proven solution to secure water supply in many regions in the world. But today, I decided not to talk about the success story. Even I was lucky in my professional life to have the possibility to direct research in different countries, California, Australia, China, also to make technical audits, energy audits with almost 100 small and large wastewater treatment and recycling plant. So I know a little bit the problem as the holistic approach. In my experience with the European Commission, because I started to work with the first task forces for water until the European regulation. I participated in the debates in the beginning. So today I decided to focus on our challenges in Europe. Why? Because it's a very proven solution, but we are trying today in Europe to rediscover water use, to discover. Okay, well, water is life. You can see here how few drops of rain can transform a dead desert, is the driest place in the world, Atacama, and the garden. The flower bloom is amazing in the South Africa, in Death Valley in California, and I was lucky to visit the Death Valley during such flower bloom. The nature is amazing, but with water reuse, we can transform the desert. As Cliff said, in the Negev desert, they are growing orchard, fruits, vegetables. And here you can see a photo from the desert of California, where very nice flowers are growing. And in addition, California is the vegetable garden in the United States, and mostly of these crops eaten raw are irrigated with recycled water. So I will not talk about water scarcity, but water scarcity is one of the main drivers for water reuse. Of course, increasing cost of water is an important driver, regulatory technology drivers, corporate behavior, discharge limits, because here the environmental impact are very, very important driver, because in many countries, for example, in Florida, water reuse, the main driver is to preserve the environment, because there are a lot of flake, and to keep the water clean. So today I will focus on these three drivers, which are in fact challenges for us. Well, in the past, when I started working in the 19th and water reuse group, because I was an expert on advanced technology for wastewater treatment, well, the pyramid from challenges started with economics, financing, of course, who will pay the water tariff, recycled water price, the public perception, social, psychological issue, policy regulation, and the technical issue were considered as the least important. But today, with the new policy and regulations based on the precautionary principles, the technical issues are becoming very, very important, because to comply with this new regulation, we need reliable, more efficient technology. And of course, they need more money. So we are in very circles, then how we have a lot of challenges, how to achieve this. And from my point of as engineer, well, the technical issue, the technical challenges are more important than all the health risk assessment even. Okay. So to summarize, the new policy regulation should provide incentives for water reuse, which is the case in California and United States in general, for example, and reform of water rights, because water relocation, the water price, where drinking water is subsidized everywhere, cannot provide good condition to recover the real price of recycled water. Of course, it's very important that regulations frame best management practices, you know, and to guarantee a feasible regulatory and administrative framework, because when for example, the new European regulation is requiring to change the regulation each 2 and now 5 years. In the past, in France, we have experienced to have a permit, we need to fight 10, 20 years. Something is wrong. We need to implement innovative technology tools, but for water reuse, I am calling for major technology, proven technologies, because innovation to implement in the practice new technology, well, the development is between 10, even 50 years. Well, and very important is to guarantee the long-term efficiency for full-scale application, compatibility with existing technology and infrastructure, we will not change. And very important, federal risk management. We forgot technology federal risk management. We are focusing only on quantitative health risk assessment, but the failure risk management of our installation is important, and a very important monitoring. We need a good sensor, reliability, calibration, data analysis is very, very important. And energy and cost effectiveness is an important condition for the feasibility and viability of water reuse, of course linked to water energy nexus, because when we increase intensity of treatment, the energy demand is double, triple, and we need also to guarantee and to pay this. Cost to risk nexus is very important, and I will talk a little bit later. Soft science, of course, monetary benefits, we need to learn how to calculate monetary and non-monetary benefits, risk environment assessment, and so on, is also important. We need research. So In the past, regulations were driven by the end use, by the practical applications. But since the late 90s, we have advanced in science and we have the precautionary principles. We're crazy with the prion disease and how to measure the prion in water 20 years ago, followed by small viruses, endocrine descriptors, pharmaceuticals, now macroplastics, and nobody is talking about nanoparticles. But my question is how we can measure this. So, I have a quiz. Well, technical challenges are concerned as less important in water reuse barrier. But what is this? 1 and 2. These two pictures are given from 2 large wastewater treatment plants in 2 developed European countries. Who can say what is this? Somebody? Idea? So this means that a lot of people, they make the decision, they never went to the field to see what is this. In the end, if you are very kind, I can say what is this, but really, it's almost impossible to recognize what is this. And I have more pictures. Nobody will show this because, you know, it's not good. So, on the way to sustainable water reuse, you can see the road in the desert, and you can see the strawberries that are irrigated in California with recycled water. That is tertiary treatment, you know, coagulation, flocculation, filtration, and chlorination. Nothing very, very expensive, nothing very complicated. In us, this is a very nice graph I like from our friend, Professor Takashi Asano, who is the father of water reuse. Today, it's true that with the current technology, source water quality no longer dictates to produce water. Today, we can produce ultra-pure recycled water that is cleaner, you know, than drinking water. And for this reason, in the United States, the countries with a very good experience in indirect potable reuse now going to direct water reuse because we have data from the field that is safer to put very clean recycled water directly in the drinking water plant or with a small storage than to put in the natural aquifer or reservoir where the water is contaminated by rain or by river discharge. So, but my question is here, why for agriculture today we need to produce ultra-pure water? Okay, here you can see, well, the overall treatment schemes for wastewater treatment. You can see here is the secondary treatment, which is mandatory in Europe. Conventional technology is activated sludge. Followed for water reuse or sensitive area, we need to introduce disinfection by natural technology, lagooning or filtration, disinfection, UV, chlorination, ozonation, to add chemicals if we target total disinfection and total suspended solids removal, and more recently, membranes are introduced for tertiary treatment. In membrane bioreactors, the development for MBR took 20 to 30 years. I was lucky to start research with ceramic membrane and after that with hollow fiber membrane in 90s. So now they provide water quality with tertiary quality, almost full disinfection. And after quaternary treatment or desalination, using reverse osmosis or sometimes electrodialysis reversals, is provide to remove the salts and also all macropollutants. So if we focus on the membrane, just very rapidly to show you the technology can play as enabler of sustainable water cycle, well, the first membrane started to be developed in the late 50s and 60s in the last centuries for industrial application. After that, they were applied in water reuse in Orange Country for indirect potable reuse. In Waste Basin also is for indirect potable reuse to injection to salt intrusion barrier. After that, in Orange Country, this advanced treatment by low pressure and high pressure reverse osmosis membrane were introduced. And also in 90s, membranes were introduced, ultrafiltration, for example, for drinking water production. in France, and after that in the United States. So today, for the production of high-quality recycled water, you can see the treatment is secondary treatment, the general treatment scheme, tertiary treatment is mandatory because we need to remove all suspended solids. After that, we have advanced treatment by membranes, ultrafiltration, microfiltration, reverse osmosis, or combination of ozonation, activated carbon, and so on, which are very proven for indirect potable reuse in the United States. In the end, we need always stabilization of aeropermeate or chlorination, because we need to maintain residual chlorine in the distribution system to avoid any regrowth or contamination by bacterial combination in the distribution. So today, in some countries, this combination of microfiltration, ultrafiltration with reverse osmosis is considered as the best viable technology. And later, because the researcher found NDMA in the treated water, advanced oxidation with very high UV dose is introduced for drinking water application. So, but you can see some picture from this treatment scheme in today, because this treatment is very energy intensive and the energy demand is very high. We have increasing interest in non-membrane technologies. So how this technology are developed? In all the cases, in Orange country and West Basin, this is a step-by-step process. Here, I like very much, my Singapore friends provided these slides showing that we need background research. You are doing here in LNEC, followed by pilot study, demonstration study, and after that, full-scale application. What is very interesting in Singapore, they learned for all the experience all over the world. They tested the best membrane in the world, and they selected the best technology that comply with the requirements for their local conditions. And here in Europe, we need to do the same, because we never learned from the experience abroad. So now I will try to come back to unexplored potential of the conventional technology. Ozonation, for example. Ozonation is very strong disinfectant, suitable for all microorganisms. The viruses are removed for the first seconds before the bacteria. Also, they can inactivate the protozoa cyst. They can also improve color, odor, to remove refractory, to block refractory organics. It's very efficient for low quality effluent. We don't need for ozonation for 100% removal of suspended solids. And they can guarantee almost total removal of organics. Here you can see the sensitivity is not very complicated to graph. The blue line is the disinfection efficiency, and you can see the variation on Escherichia coli concentration in the secondary effluent or tertiary effluent, and the peaks are related also to the peaks of suspended solids, and you can see that we can guarantee very good disinfection. But what is very interesting, now a very interesting project, Armistice in France, including studying different kinds of processes for removal of macropollutant, demonstrated that ozone with very low doses can guarantee the removal of over 98% of a lot of micropollutants. The addition on hydrogen peroxide sometimes can improve, but sometimes can decrease the efficiency. So we have a potential with ozone to remove. And after that, if we combine ozone with activated sludge, of course, we can remove all the refractory organisms, including carbazepine, which is very refractory even to ozonation, but can be absorbed by activated carbon and also in the vadose zone during soil aquifer treatment, which is the case in Israel. So here is one case study in real full-scale implemented for macropollutant removal in wastewater treatment plant in Lausanne. as indirect potable reuse for the lake, because drinking water supply is near with this plant. So the treatment scheme is primary treatment, of course. Secondary treatment here, they're using a biofilter, the nitrification, to guarantee very good nitrogen removal, nitrification, ozonation, activated carbon, and also filtration as last step. And for disinfection, they're using UV because chlorine is toxic to aquatic organisms. So, well, the cost risk nexus I never seen, but I'm bringing to your attention because when we have a very challenging objective, we need to guarantee the cost. Here you can see the European regulation, which is now should be implemented in our country, different classes of water, A, B, C, but in fact, A, B is the same from the point of engineer point of view, is only the question of statistic. And, well, the class C, which is 1,000 Escherichia coli, which was for irrigation on non-food crops, now can be used only for drip irrigation. But my question is, you cannot irrigate directly without treatment. For drip irrigation, we need also suspended solids removal, so it's additional treatment. In maturation ponds, which is excellent technology for small and middle-sized treatment plants, because guarantee full disinfection and also storage, but cannot guarantee 100 Escherichia coli because we have algae, because we have a lot of birds that like very much these lakes. So, well, what we will do, and now in France, we have a lot of reuse projects for small community that they have not discharge point, and they cannot comply with European regulation, and the question is what they will do. Who will drink the wastewater? They need to produce that for direct potable reuse. They have no discharge. Water use is not allowed. What they will do? So, also for class A, to demonstrate the lock removal is included, which was introduced the first time in Australia regulation, but they well, they introduced theoretical limits, lock removal, never inlet, outlet because it's impossible. And when you see their risk assessment, technology that will be, treatment trends that will be forbidden in Europe, they are operating since 2006. I was there, I know. I will not give you the names, but WHO also was inspired by this Australia regulation, but they introduced a more pragmatic approach with theoretic limit. But in France, they said, we are the best, you have to demonstrate full lock. The problem, you cannot demonstrate full Clostridium anaerobic spores because we have not enough to demonstrate a lock removal. We need to have at least one lock residual and to have seventh lock. We have not. So the question is how, and we cannot spike because a lot of technology we cannot, and laboratory research we can do, but in full scale never. So towards zero health risk, what this means? Here you can see when we discussed it 20 years ago for phyllo risk management of treatment facilities, we can improve the resilience of the system, but at what cost? And you can see the best intensity level is in the middle, because we cannot put enough money in maintenance intensity, because now we need to deal with small plants, and I don't know if somebody know how I operated this. For small plants, we need good technology, natural mechanism-based, and easy for operation. We cannot maintain. I participated in discussion for introduction activated sludge in 2000, my God. We will not talk. Here, just about the cost, forgot about the numbers. The numbers we have in the literature are not the real one. No, from any countries. No, I can guarantee, because we did audit, we cannot say the real plus, but here you can see my American colleagues did this evaluation, the cost range for the different treatment schemes, starting from secondary treatment for restricted irrigation, adding disinfection for urban and landscape irrigation, tertiary treatment for industrial purposes, more intensive, membranes, which is after that, and also zero recharge schemes. But when we put the real cost of real facility, because 40,000 cubic meter per day for reuse is very large facility. We have few in the world, in California and Australia, but majority of water reuse installation are small one. You have here the experience in France, and the Spain is the same. Murcia, if it's big, irrigation area has 40 or 50 wastewater treatment plants, and you can see the price is nothing to do what this is given. And once some people say that desalination is 50 cents, okay, we can discuss. So the cost of treatment for class A and B, which is mandatory almost for all reuse, will be almost €1. And who will pay for this? And here, the energy, increase the energy is not included, because we, in France, we doubled the energy cost the last 5 years, almost. Now, when we have to guarantee public health to go to indirect to direct potable reuse, we have this advanced treatment using the membrane. Here, the different numbers reflect the different treatment schemes. The sixth is, the conventional tertiary treatment using ozonation, filtration, and UV, and the 1, 2 is the different combination of the membrane with reverse osmosis, and you can see the blue is the amortization cost of investment and the life cost, and the orange is operation cost. Not taking into account the energy price. The numbers are from California. For Texas, we have a very good report, but now even in the United States, the price of fuel on energy are very high. So you can see nobody can pay operation and management costs, which are 3 times higher than investment costs. So cost, risk nexus should be discussed, and we need to put more attention on the reliability of operation of existing system treatment plant. And before to conclude, just because the pressure of Australia regulation and European regulation on the California expert led to evaluate the safety of their regulation, which are based not on health risk assessment, but on technology measures, which are very easy to be controlled and to put in practice, show that the 22 treatment, which is conventional tertiary treatment, chemical one, filtration, chlorination, or UV now, can guarantee safety for all kinds of reusing, really good safety. In the class A in European region is the same one. But do we need this quality for irrigation of orchard, for irrigation on lawns? So this is the question. Okay, I can agree, but the European Union, the government, should provide the financial incentive to do, because nobody from the consumer are able to pay this cost. Until now, in Europe and in many countries, the real price of recycled water is covered by industry. But now in Europe, we are losing industry. In my question, I'm really wondering how we can implement this in practice. So to concluding remark, how to succeed the reuse, learn from the water. We need cost-efficient and good practices. We need good wastewater treatment. We are the best in Europe and best in the world. We are in Europe to develop wastewater treatment technology. We have experience with the storage. You see here in LNEC, you have a tremendous experience. We know what kind of barrier we can use to protect public health. We have a lot of publication, milestones for water reuse. We try to show the best practices for all kinds of applications, from industry, agriculture, to direct potable reuse. So we need to publish this. We need to learn not to go to discover, America, to discover water reuse. We need to implement the practices using pragmatic approach. So what I would like to technology needs. I am not calling for innovative technology. The people were very exciting about the nanotechnology. Yes, I have slides to show what is doing over the world. I was inviting very leading institution in Asia on nanotechnology. They have brilliant results. I said, my God, okay, how you remove losing nanoparticles? We didn't. We didn't make research. We have not methods to analyze nanoparticles, but we did the study for the cells. Nanoparticles go to the cells and can damage the cells. So, well, it's not safe technology. So we need first to improve reliability, performance, flexibility, robustness of existing technology. Membrane bioreactors, excellent. Biofiltration, advanced oxidation, UV disinfection. We, to improve the multivariant treatment and to improve energy efficiency, green technology will not resolve, this problem. We cannot, because the carbon footprint of photovoltaics, wind is very, very big and is not reliable, the production. We need new cost energy efficient technology, so we have new technology based on anaerobic treatment for nitrogen and phosphorus removal, recovery of this nutrient, macro pollutant removals, new membranes more efficient in energy recovery devices, of course, and of course small scale facilities and rural facilities. We need technology that are easy for operation. And of course, improved monitoring and water quality and process for performance, cheap online monitoring and technology. We need to have new surrogate parameters, indicators for different microbial macroorganisms, for different micropollutants. To be able to do broad spectrum analysis of pathogen, organic macropollutants, toxicity is a challenge. It was a challenge 30 years ago, and now is the challenge with the bioassays and so on. And of course, analytical method of all these emerging pollutants. So thank you very much for your attention. And I'm very proud to be with you because Lisbon implemented rules faster than France, that we 20 years we had discussed what will be the new standards. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Valentina. Yeah, you can join me for the inspiring presentation. Actually, I must confess that our group is not that small, and we address some of the topics, but we cannot cover it all. Yeah, but it's very, you touch everything. We need to improve the products and the process of reusing water. That's for sure. And now, over there, there's our colleague from the agriculture sector, Paulo Luz.
Hello. Yes, there's a lot of information about water reuse and quality. My question is also, because you are discussing it in Portugal, we may use maybe 600 cubic hectometers of water treated, and the problem is the storage, because when we need more water, maybe in winter we have a lot of water that you could use, but how to storage maybe reservoirs or recharge of aquifers, and so we have to have solutions to these problems, because we want to use all the water, but you just need to use it in summer because of the Mediterranean climate.
Excellent question, because water use schemes include distribution and storage. And for agriculture, storage is very important because we need to guarantee the winter storage. And we have problems in France and Spain, you know, where the storage reservoir, the cost to make a big storage reservoir is very higher than treatment of cost. So we need this storage. And the problem with the surface storage is the water quality, not only evaporation, which is increasing, as our colleague said, but also the change in nitrogen. We can have contamination. So aquifer recharge is very, very good solution. We have a project in Vendée in France that are fighting 20 years with the different authorities. We had a lot of research, and finally, we are going to do this aquifer recharge. But in fact, this is good technology. Also, aquifer storage, you know, is using in Australia to put rainwater, you know, to store rainwater, because when we have flooding, the best way is to infiltrate in the soil. For this, the problem with aquifer recharge, I worked in California for the salt discharge barrier. We need to have good hydrology modeling, because to be able to define the travel time of injected water between the injection wells to extraction wells is very important, and also to have a very reliable model with good boundary conditions to track external contamination. For example, in California, they were convinced in Los Angeles area that they have not any rainwater contamination, but when we monitoring the different ones, in fact, even if they have 1 or 2 rains in the year, so a lot of contaminants are coming to this aquifer, which is used also. The Los Angeles aquifer is covering 20 to 30% of the potable supply in this area. So, well, it's a good tool, but we need more research, and we need the help of hydrogeology, good modeling, to take into account, you know, for the sea coastal area, we need to take into account the density of seawater, because, you know, if not, you cannot correctly model the salt intrusions. For example, in this area when I worked, they were not able to understand why the salinization is in the center. But when we developed a very precise model with a French company, in fact, the seawater is coming from a fault very deep in the sea, is going up. So we need very advanced tool for this. But it's good technology. Well, culinary reservoir can be used in France, because culinary reservoir we can put different sources of water, rainwater, treated water. So it's a problem. We have to work on this. And of course, aquifer recharge is extremely important. Well, I'm not sure that we will find a consensus in Europe, because the northern countries are not interested in. We worked, for example, this European directive in the beginning was developed for aquifer recharge too, for non-potable and potable reuse, but because, well, some discrepancy between different participants for different countries, well, this project was abandoned. And, well, it's an excellent question. Well, how to manage the storage, how to construct, this is the problem for agriculture. We need, you know, the problem with the reuse, because the point of production is not where the use is. And if we have a distance more than 5-10 kilometers, it's economically not feasible to transport this water.
So, reclaimed water is a new product. We have to have a site where to safely produce it, then to distribute it, to store, to distribute it, to supply it to the application where it is applied. And so it's quite complex, and we have to manage not only the technical details, but also the business models. And with having said that, I think we are really ready to move into the debate, because we will have this kind of, even the aquifer recharge, we will be dealing with that now in the round table. So I'm going to ask our invited speakers to join me in the sofa. So Alexandra Serra, from the Board of Directors of August Portugal Holding, of course, Valentina, yeah. And Clive will join us online. Not Catarina Freitas, because unfortunately she had, I hope, a small accident and had to leave, but Pedro Teixeira will do the day. So fine. From the Directorate General for Environment, Green Infrastructure, Climate and Energy of the Lisbon Municipality, so a big user. Christina Venke from Managing Director of IWW Water Center in Mulheim, Germany, and our colleague from our department, Teresa Leitão, hydrogeologist, senior researcher at LNEC. So I think this is a group of strong and complementary knowledge, experience, and perspectives from different key stakeholders, and I'm sure it will be really a rich and very fruitful debate. And I will also this works fine, right? Okay, so, and I need something else. Sorry. While rehearsing, Petrona, can you move backwards, please? And before giving the floor to the debaters, I just want to set the scene and activate some discussion. And I will start by a very simple thing that I learned from Rodrigo about the water scarcity, a good index to characterize the water scarcity, because rather than speaking of droughts or rain, we need to balance the demand and the supply availability. So, and this water exploitation index plus provides exactly this. It's a ratio between the water use and the water availability. So it's clear. Can you? Okay, so next, please. And from that slide, you can, from that figure, you can easily see how are we using water per continent. This is recent data. So depending on the continent, from industry might be the biggest use, or agriculture is often the biggest use. And in Portugal, so next, please. Industry accounts for, it's very low, accounts for 5%, agriculture 75%, and urban water for 20%. So that's the kind of use we have in all over the world and in Portugal. And in the next slide, let's look into the balance between the use and the availability. So the first, the map of Portugal shows data from 2016, which is published on our environmental agency, and you can see that it's the results of the water exploitation index, and we have now regions above 40% this ratio, so with no severe water scarcity, with not important water scarcity. But the data that Rodrigo computed very recently, from 2 years from now, we have a quite different scenario, and we have several, except for the Minho, for one of the regions, we have all regions were aggravated in terms of water scarcity, and we have now many regions with severe and extreme scarcity, so above 50%. So we need to do something. With these graphics, we need to do something. And actually, when I was preparing this round table, I found last week the World Meteorological Organization, the UN, from the UN, published the State of Global Water Resources Report for 2022, and its Secretary General, Petteri Talas, stated, the global hydrological cycle is out of control. I think he shouted like this, and I do agree. I think we all now agree with him. And he said that climate change is upsetting the balance of the world's water cycle with extremes such as heavy rainfall and increased flooding. For example, in Pakistan, the floods that killed more than 1,700 people, as well as the intense droughts that we are experiencing. And according to this agency, over 50% of global catchment areas experience deviations from normal river discharge conditions, with most of them drier than normal. And they cite the China's Yangtze River. So far too little is known about the true state of the world's freshwater resources. We cannot manage what we do not measure. And now I stop quoting, but I thought this was very impressive words just to activate our debate. We need to take action, both on the demand, both on the demand and on the supply and offer. And to answer to these two key questions, how to manage and decrease the water demand, how to improve the water supply resilience to climate change. And I think the success goes by using the right amount and the right quality of water for each use, and to try to avoid very water-intensive uses. So this translates into many types of actions. Efficient use, so less consumption, water losses control, fit-for-purpose water quality allocation, safe water reuse, increased water quality discharged in the receiving waters, integrated management of surface waters, groundwaters, and reclaimed waters, and monitoring quantity and quality. Because on top of water scarcity, what I did not show was that when the water availability decreases, the water quality also decreases, and it's much more difficult to treat the water for safely use. So we need complementary assets and competences, like technology and engineering, as Valentino was telling about, management, and software and artificial intelligence. And approaches, so sound asset management and strategic long-term and multi-objective plan. We cannot, that's why Valentino was talking about not only water reuse, but also on the new proposal for the revision of the Urban Wastewater Treatment Directive, because we have to think, we have to look into a wastewater treatment plant and see what we can do, the best we can do with the water that it's produced. If we do not do this way, with long-term planning, it will be not possible to build and to upgrade and to operate the water assets. So sound risk management, particularly for water reuse, and planning, design, operation, and monitoring. So bottlenecks, we have plenty, technological, but also lack of funding schemes, and we will try to address them here. And business models, of course. Shall reclaimed water become a new water service? Perhaps. Improve policy coherence, because we have European policy and national policy for water, for energy, but perhaps to produce a kind of renewable energy like hydrogen, we are also using water, and where will be that water coming from? So improve regulation to effectively promote the best practices. And having said that, I will start by asking my esteemed colleagues here, so to start exactly by the water sources availability and place to storage, for instance, the reclaimed water. So Teresa, to you, that as a an expert on groundwater, what's the groundwater status in Portugal in terms of quantity and quality, and its role on water supply for the three sectors, urban, agriculture, and industry? And shall we make groundwater public in Portugal, as for instance in Israel? And about, I think we have arranged everything, because my third question is about the aquifers are excellent water reservoirs, right? And in many cases, in many places, they are used even to prevent salt intrusion in coastal aquifers. And they are very good to store reclaimed water. But in Europe, there's a kind of a myth and too much resistance to that. So what are the issues and lessons we can learn from other countries on this? Valentina has already talked a little bit about this. And for instance, we can learn a lot from California, where they have this experience for a very long time. And when they shift their water supply for groundwater recharge from stormwater and imported water to stormwater and recycled water, so they are recharging the aquifers with reclaimed water. The thing is that they do need to invest strategically and safely, so they have to be careful on the treatment. And that's it. Yeah. I'm not sure where.
Okay. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here. And we were told that we have 5 minutes to convey an idea and the possibility of sharing 3 slides. So here it goes, my idea. So the idea was to contribute a bit to solutions to mitigate water scarcity. What can we do? And when we talk about this, there are 3 things that we need to talk. It's about water consumption, it's about water availability, and what are the possible solutions. So I want to share with you a couple of figures. This is the figure of water consumption in Portugal, where we can see that we have 8,000 cubic hectometers of use per year, and 74% of it is from agriculture, so a number slightly different from what was presented before, but urban and then industrial tourism, whatever that means, which are the last numbers from our watershed plan. The numbers don't exist now, but the previous watershed plan said that about 60% of the water was coming from groundwater. I think this number now is more or less 50-50. And we can see numbers from 2020 that this number of 900 cubic hectometers is now slightly lower. So we can see here some improvement in the amount of water which is pumped. And we also see some opportunity here because this is what is pumped and this is what is distributed. So we have here a saving, an important saving. Having in mind this number of 8,000 cubic hectometers, what is the second slide, which is about water availability? We have in dams the capacity of storing 10,000. So we consume annually 8,000 and we have the possibility of storing almost 11,000 cubic hectometers. We have a storage capacity in aquifers that was calculated of about 100,000, so 10 times more. And we have rivers in which an average flow is 30,000 cubic hectometers a year. And when we look to this and we say 8,000, we say, wow, we are in a comfortable situation. We are not. Why? Because when we see here the storage capacity of dams, this is the possible capacity. But we can see that from south to north, we have rivers where the storage capacity is around 20%. And what we see here also is not only the difference in distribution throughout the space, but also time. 1 year ago, exactly 1 year ago, we have a huge storm in which we have an augmentation of almost half of the storage capacity in a lot of our dams. So we have here, we need to storage water. Furthermore, the capacity of the aquifers, as happens in Albufeira Dam, in Alqueva Dam, which has almost one half of the storage capacity. Also in aquifers, these 100,000 here, half of it is in Tejo Sado aquifer. So we need to store. And I come to my third slide, which is what are the possible solutions for debate? Can we reduce our water needs or increase dam storage? Not likely. We are not thinking that the water needs will decrease. We will have more needs in agriculture, we will have more tourism, so this is not likely to happen. Will we increase the dam storage? Also not. We are close to the limit of the storage in dams. A second thing is to increase the efficiency. We know that agriculture and also urban water supply made a huge effort in the last years, so we are increasing very much these numbers, and this is something that needs to continue. But we need to go, as was said before, to water reuse. We need alternative water. We need to store our floods, which will be more recurrent all the time, and we need to store this. And this comes to my idea, is that this is treated wastewater, the number of treated wastewater in 2022, which is almost half of what we consume for urban. So this is something that it's possible to be used. And then it comes something. We have a country, you can see in this slide from the right, the green part is all made of schists and granites. Schists and granites are great areas where we can have slopes and impervious areas. So these are the good places where we can do dams, because we have slopes and the rocks do not allow to infiltrate. The rest of the country, you can see 69 aquifer systems. It is where we don't have so much bigger slopes, and it's where the rocks are pervious. These are our natural way of store water. So we can store in the dams where we have schists and granites and other type of rocks, but mainly these in our country. And we should store in aquifers in the other part of the country. Last year, and to finalize, the World Water, the UNESCO, said that groundwater should make the invisible visible, and it says that manage aquifer recharge, which I'm happy to see that it was very much talked here, allows replenishment of aquifers to complement storage in dams, provides cost-effective alternative. Which are the water sources? Is storm water and recycled water. You have seen this scheme before. So my idea is, would we accept that in the 60s, our colleagues did not do dams? Could we cope today to live without dams to store water and to prevent floods? Will our grandchildren accept that we don't do MAR today? This is the question. So I leave you with the examples of MAR throughout the world, and also tell you that Spain in last month put out the legislation. France is doing MAR. Italy has legislation for MAR. We need to do it also. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. And indeed, we have also aquifer recharge here, even with the treated wastewater. For instance, in cast aquifers, when the wastewater treatment plants are discharging over cast aquifers, then they will infiltrate a few meters away from the discharge. So we have it already, but unplanned and uncontrolled. that's the point. So we need to look into that very carefully. And now moving from the resources to the producer and the user, the provider of the water, Alexandre. We know the measures the Águas de Portugal holding and their companies are taking to fight water scarcity, and these include water losses control, water reuse, desalination, so many things. Can you briefly summarize them? And for sure, we never go as far as we wanted, so what are the bottlenecks that are slowing down your process? Are they more technological or lack of funds, for instance? Because all of us here, at least the Portuguese, know that the Algarve is a very good region where, well, something will happen, but the rest of the world, the rest of the country is not.
Okay, thank you very much, Maria João, and thank you for the invitation. I will skip the slides. I think the day is a long day. We have heard so many interesting speeches here by the speakers, so, and I think most of everything was said already. And let me just give you a brief overview of the water utility perspective, okay? Our priority this decade in Águas de Portugal is build resilience in our systems. Build resilience and also to assure water security. Águas de Portugal this year, it has 30 years old this year. And we have been through 3 decades. The first one, the first 10 years, we were building infrastructures. The second decade, we were working in aggregation and optimization of the systems. And in this decade, we are really pretty sure that all our efforts have to be put in building resilience and working in water security. That's the priority. We have an investment plan of about 1.8 billion euros till 2030. Most of it related to rehabilitation, upgrading the systems. So for us, a critical topic is to analyze the existing systems and to develop solutions out of the box, analyzing the re-engineering of the systems to increase the resilience. That's our main priority. Well, you know the context. We are under a climatic crisis. In our operations around the country, we have different contexts. In the north, there are different challenges, and I would like to share with you what we are doing in the south, because as you mentioned, João, the south, we are in Algarve, we have a structural scarcity situation. It's not no longer about droughts, it's really about the imbalance between supply and demand. Very recently, I've seen a presentation from the Portuguese Environmental Agency showing that in the last 10 years, the precipitation, annual precipitation in Faro is the capital of Algarve, has been lower than the average of the last 30 years. So precipitation is lowering a lot, about 25% less than the normal average. And in Algarve, we have the water supply and agriculture using mainly 2 large reservoirs in the east and in the west. And those reservoirs are, of course, with lower precipitation. The storage is going down. Agriculture is blooming. Tourism is also blooming during summertime. So we have here a very special issue in Algarve. And Algarve for us is almost like a laboratory. Agriculture, water supply, tourism, economic activities, needing water, based on water. So we are acting. What are we doing? We are working in a framework that we have developed in Águas Portugal, inspired by other realities. We call it One Water. Only one water. In Portuguese, uma só água. And this framework is based on the concept that we need to use integrated water management. When I finished my course, we spoke already about integrated water management. But now in this context, it's even more important because we have the existing water, we have the new water, mentioned here, like desal and reuse and so on, and we have the efficiency. So we need to look at both sides, supply and demand, in the context of that region, and optimize the different types of water in a way that we assure water security and the optimized cost of the water for the different users. What we are doing in Algarve, we have a very ambitious plan, and we are working in the side of the demand. Municipalities have important plans for reducing water losses. We are preparing a desalination plant, the first in the continent, in Portugal. Also, a very interesting solution, which is intake in Guadiana River, which is an international river. An intake in the Guadiana River for what? To optimize existing storage. We have a big dam near Guadiana, in another river basin, that is suffering from the decrease in precipitation. So we need to increase the regulated flow for agriculture and water supply. And we are doing that by pumping the water from Guadiana into that reservoir. Adelaide. So these are examples of supply, in the side of the supply. Also reuse. In Algarve, we have been working with the golf courses, and let me say that golf courses entrepreneurs are really very keen on developing innovation to decrease the demand in the golf courses. We have already four golf courses using using reused water, and the goal is to in 2-3 years to reach the 18 golf courses in Algarve region. So this is a very ambitious plan. Let me tell you that in my experience, whenever I go to Algarve, I really feel the common sense of urgency in using the water in a very efficient way. All the users, agriculture, the municipalities, the tourism, it's really an issue in Algarve. And a very innovative approach that started in Algarve, which is the regional water pacts. APA is here. It's also an initiative that is being promoted by APA. It's very interesting because each user defines a commitment and in order to be more efficient in the new years in terms of water use. So we have a water pact in Algarve involving all the users, and this is an example that, okay, we can work in the water supply, we can work also in the demand, but above supply and demand, there is a very, very important topic, which is collaboration. We cannot solve and we cannot cope with water scarcity in silos. Águas Portugal, we are working very closely with agriculture, with the Direção-Geral de Agricultura e Desenvolvimento Rural, because in order to optimize the solutions, we need to plan in an integrated way the investments both for agriculture and for water supply, urban water supply. So collaboration is really key to cope with water scarcity. I'm not sure if I answered all the questions.
Yeah, thank you, Alexandra. I was also looking for hearing some words on water pricing, but let's keep it and move on, and then we come back if needed. Water pricing,
resilience must be paid.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And now, because, well, the Algarve is really a region where the water is scarce, but not only Algarve. Lisbon itself, although it's rainy, today is raining cats and dogs, as our UK friends say. But
I will pass to Pedro.
Water scarcity also exists here, and I would like Pedro to tell us really the water challenges in Lisbon, and particularly let me see if I have something more. So everybody here knows, and the mayor Carlos Moedas already told that you are fighting to avoid using drinking water in non-potable uses. That's a very, very wise decision, and we are fortunate to be able to support you on that within our Be Water Smart project. But what are the bottlenecks? Exactly what are you doing, and what is slowing down your actions? Do you need another architecture of the water services to better implement these kind of solutions? Do you need to have another framework for the cascade of the users? So, for instance, to allow for secondary users of the reclaimed water.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Maria João, and thank you, LNEC, for the invitation on the behalf of Catarina, who couldn't make it, unfortunately. I will give a brief introduction. Yes. So, in Lisbon, we consume annually roughly about 55 cubic millions of drinking water per year. As the mayor said this morning, this water comes from a long distance, almost 100 kilometers from Castelo de Vode, which implicates an energy that is spent on this transportation. The municipality alone accounts for 4.4 million cubic meters of drinking water consumption a year, and the majority of this consumption is for non-potable uses, around 75%. So we have several challenges we need to address. We want to increase our green area to promote adaptation and climate resilience. But in a scenario of decrease in rain and a rise in temperature, we will need, we are already experiencing this. We need longer irrigation periods of the year. So we have longer periods of irrigation, and we have a larger area to irrigate. We made some recent calculations, and we will more than triple the consumption of water to irrigate green areas by 2050. So, and no matter how efficient we are, no matter how rational we are in using water, we will always need more water. So our challenges are the distance and the reduction of the freshwater resources. We want to increase the green without compromising the blue. We have a growing population and services which imply an increased demand for water. We have several artificialized water courses, and we need to improve the use of non-conventional. We need to promote the use of alternative water sources, not only drinking water, namely reclaimed water, which we already use, spring water, underground water, and even water mining. So what we are doing now, besides the normal measures of water efficiency, we have we monitor our big consumers in Lisbon. We have smart irrigation meters. We are adapting our green infrastructure to dry field meadows that don't imply such an amount of water consumption. But on a larger perspective, on a strategic view, we are developing with our partners at Águas do Tejo and Atlantic and EPAL a plan for water reuse in Lisbon. This includes not only the reclaimed water. We have a huge potential for using reclaimed water. Our three wastewater treatment plants, which now are called water factories, Beirolas, Alcântara, and Chelas, produce over 50 millions of cubic meters every year, which are discharged. And we also are also planning to include the spring water, which still flows in our aqueduct, das Águas Livres, which was how we supplied water in Lisbon many years ago, but the water still flows in this aqueduct, and it doesn't have any current use at the moment. So we want to take these two opportunities to improve our water smartness. I believe. So this is the global picture. This is a huge investment, over 50 million euros of investment between this will be a partnership between these three entities, the Lisbon Municipality, ADTA, and EPAL. We are also including we recently submitted the Lisbon City Climate Contract, which established the plan for a carbon reduction of 80% by 2030. And we included a water pillar in this document, previewing a series of actions for water efficient use, non-potable uses, the drainage system, and NBS solutions also. I believe that's all. Thank you, Maria João.
You may comment or compliment.
Okay, thank you. Just to talk a little bit about this project, because this project with Lisbon is a wonderful example of collaboration between water utility and a municipality. A very big alignment of goals. Lisbon was the first, I think it was the first city to have the license for irrigation with reused water. And it's a kind of, for us, it's a flagship project. It's emblematic, and it's a kind of a lighthouse for all the others in the country to be inspired and to replicate. I know that it's a big effort from the municipality of Lisbon. The investment is big to build all the distribution network, but I've seen the motivation and enthusiasm to go on with the project. Of course, that Lisbon is not stressed in terms of water scarcity, but it's a matter of sustainability. As Pedro said, it doesn't make sense to clean the roads with potable water, and Pedro didn't say, and I think they are the responsibles for that, the green field of the Pope area was irrigated with reused water in a partnership with the municipality of Lisbon and Tejo Atlantic.
Can I just compliment? I didn't talk about the bottlenecks. Very quickly. For water reuse,
the many millions.
Yes, that's the main one. The investment. It's really costly investment. We have to decide who will make this investment and how. The maintenance. Yes. Currently, the Lisbon municipality pays the reclaimed water. We pay for the network construction, maintenance. We pay for the monitoring. We pay for everything. We have a legal limitation. Yes,
Yeah.
we can't sell this water to a secondary user. This is a problem for the whole business to be viable, not economically and environmentally. We have to be allowed to give this water or sell this water to secondary users, and maybe some political willingness needs to be more practical. It exists, but it's not.
Because when, if I may ask, if I may add something on that also, because when we build distribution systems of reclaimed water, we need to have them flowing throughout the year. And if we are thinking only of irrigation needs, then we will be irrigating only several months of the year, and the others don't. So in terms of environment, as an operational and maintenance of the systems, it's very, very important that we can find a baseline consumption that will be renovating the water inside industrial or services for air conditioning or many other uses that we have here in Lisbon, big water consumers. And that's for sure. And so we have to, the thing is that now our decree law does not allow it because it has to do with it's a matter of risk management. So we will be responsible for the safety of the water for that secondary user. But we need to sit down around the table and to solve it as we solved in the drinking water supply. It's the same approach. So I think we can do it, and we must. Otherwise, it will be very difficult to pay and to maintain good water quality within these distribution systems. And because, we are coming from the Algarve, and then Lisbon, less water scarce, or not such a dry weather. And moving to Germany, Christina, welcome. And thank you for coming. Germany is known for many reasons, but not for the water scarcity. Well, in theory, but nevertheless, Germany is in fact tackling this or preventing or anticipating this water scarcity. And Christina will let us know a bit on that, right?
Yes, sure. I'm happy to do that. So the day was very long, and I will now do the very strange thing, the crazy thing, talking about water scarcity in Germany, now that we are here in Lisbon. So I also prepared some slides because it might be better to have an example. And of course, Germany is a water-rich country, so there's nothing to discuss about that. But in fact, we have some regions in Germany that are really water scarce. So for example, the regions in northern Germany and in the southeast, there we have regions where we don't have the water in the right quality and at the right timing in the right region. So this is really the problem. Overall in Germany, we have enough water. This is true. So what I brought you here is some example from a European project we are doing also together with LNEC. It's called Be Water Smart, and this is a case study. Maybe we could have a look at the slide before again. Sorry, I was a little bit slow. Here you can see some northern region of Germany. So this is a supply area of OWV. It's about 7,000 square kilometers large. So really large supplier. And here you can see the level of usage of the waterworks, of the 15 waterworks of OWV. So you can see it's already at its limit. This is the main message here. And the water rights behind that also at its level. On the next slide, we see that we have a problem here because the water consumption is rising, so the daily average per capita is rising. This is, although we have some efficient technologies, of course, at household level, this is due to the fact that we have extreme events. So we have dry periods where people are consuming more water, and therefore the daily average rises. But what's more important is the pink line, the peak demands, they are rising very much more than the daily average. So we need to do something here. And in a water-rich region, we had some passionate talks about water reuse and so on. So of course, this is also a component that is discussed. In Germany, we have some issues with with water reuse in agriculture and for potable reuse, but what we feel comfortable with is water reuse for industrial uses. So on the next slide we can see some strategies what the OWV is dealing with. So of course on the left side you see some more traditional things. We heard it before, cooperation is a crucial point. So they are looking for resources from other water suppliers in the region. They are trying to adapt their infrastructure, trying to explore new resources, because if you are in a water-rich country, you can look for alternative resources. You can treat storm water, you can treat brackish water, you can do several things. But what's the main point? It's the point on the right. It's the fit for purpose treatment of different resources, because we heard it as well, we heard it before, it's very cost intense to provide water in the different qualities, and therefore they are really much looking for using all these different sources, salt water, surface water, municipal wastewater, rainwater and groundwater, and treat it in that way that it's really cost efficient, so using the lowest quality for the lowest quality user. And this is the main task, and this is also several points I think are topics for research, ongoing and in the future, because it looks simple on this slide, but every point here has its challenges, of course.
Thank you, Christina. And now we had an overview from Israel to Portugal to Germany, and now we are ready for your very interesting questions for our debaters. We are all a bit tired, but
so thank you very much. So you really got a lot of very, very very good, inspiring and provocative, and well, we have really had a lot of work to develop ahead of us. One issue that I'd like to kind of provoke you even more has to do with one of the things that Miguel Miranda mentioned this morning. The solutions very much have to do with the change of mind, the change of behavior, the change of minds. And one thing that that always puzzles me when we talk about sustainability is we are well and sustainable if we increase our economy every year. We must increase the productivity every year if we want to be sustainable. I cannot understand. And well, Christina, you are an economist. So I'd like to raise this issue because, for instance, in the Algarve, taking the example of the Algarve, so if we want to continue raising, so we don't have, I mean, locally, it's not the rational. And again, taking the example of the Algarve. So when I go to the Algarve and I see a green ground around a house, a beautiful house, as we were in Ireland, this is shocking for me. We giving priority to the domestic use in terms of the water allocation. When there is a water shortage, the private users are the last ones, or the domestic use is the last one to be affected in order to not to be cut. To be cut often gives the false priority that we are not in a scarce situation. So my issue is, if we provide more water, we are biasing, and water is a kind of response. And again, coming to you, Christina, in terms of even communicating water scarcity in Germany is something that is a kind of sensitive. I realized that the other day. No, we don't have water scarcity. We just don't have the adequate amount of water for the needs. This is water scarcity in my, in my view. But it's a matter of communication. So if we don't assume that we cannot make, given some options in terms of development, if we want to be sustainable. I'd like to have some comments around that.
Who wants to take the lead on the water? Perhaps Águas de Portugal, because I think, it was for but not only, because in Portugal we have also to deal with the Algarve situation.
Then I take this one, okay. So yeah, you are absolutely right. It's maybe to comment on that, yeah, it's water scarcity, but the people don't feel it because it's always raining in Germany. That's how the people feel. So raising awareness is really a crucial point on that, because if people don't feel that there might be an issue with the water supply, or they don't see it, then you cannot communicate why they have to pay higher prices for water and so on. So there are several lighthouse projects in Germany, for example, some traffic lights for water. So water supplier inform their customers about the current situation of their supply system. So is there enough? How much is the level of the water users, the water rights, the capacity of the different components of the system, and so on, and to raise awareness on that. But in my view, this is also just one point, because the other point is in Germany, we sometimes look to our neighbors in Luxembourg, who have also some traffic light system, but this is really strict, because if the light is rouge, they have a phase rouge there, then you are prohibited to irrigate your garden and so on. So this is different type of regulatory approaches, and I think in the end we need to find some sort of middle way in between regulatory and self-responsiveness for the whole supply system and the environment to achieve the goals. But
may I just add a little bit to my question? My point is, typically water responds to the development policies. So there is a development policy and we need to find a solution to correspond. And my question is, shouldn't it be different? Shouldn't the development policies be tailored to the really availability, to the reality of the local conditions? So this increase, is it the right way?
May I make some comment also? For instance, one of the things that you are saying is Alqueva Dam. We have Alqueva Dam, and through it we had a lot of new agriculture sites. And is this something which is sustainable? And 1 year ago, everybody was very worried, because you do an infrastructure, all the infrastructure, waiting that you will have a certain amount of water, and you might not have it. So the idea of improving or growing should be sustainable. And answering a question that I did not about the privacy of groundwater, can you imagine, using the Alqueva example, can you imagine not to have Alqueva not being licensed centrally? For instance, we have aquifer systems where we have a license for pumping, but nobody knows if people are pumping like the license says or a different way. So we are running an aquifer without any idea of the sustainability, what is pumped versus what is recharged. And we cannot imagine this in a surface water body because we see it, but in a groundwater body, the only index that we have is the piezometric level decreasing or not. And we are doing this. We are doing new tourism sites. We don't know if it is sustainable. We are doing new agriculture sites, and this is something which is really important, because we might be jeopardizing future generations now growing and saying that we are very well, but if it's not sustainable, it's killing the future.
One small comment, maybe just to clarify why it's difficult for me to answer that question of you, Helena, because simply in Germany we are experiencing some quite diverse things with regards to that. So you called it harmonizing the economic growth and the arid regions and so some way. So I think also here you heard all of this example from the Tesla Gigafabric, which is built in northeastern of Germany. So, for example, this was a fact that Tesla was building this new facility there, and they asked for a water right and permission to dilute the wastewater, and they didn't get it. And Elon Musk said, "I don't worry, we build it, we will get it," and yeah, in the end, they found a way that they got the permission, so to say. So, and this is some way of, kind of difficult from the water world perspective, because usually getting a water right in Germany takes up to 10 to, in some regions, 30 years. And here it was in, I think, 1 year. So this is really, to think positive of it, it's really accelerating the processes. But if it's to the right side, it's really difficult. So, of course, I totally agree with you that it should be the way that you should look where to place new facilities and so on, new industry and agriculture places. But as said, sometimes at some points in Germany, we are facing different realities.
Okay, very quickly. I think that we are seeing now, in real, the importance of water in the development of the territories. And of course, public policies must take that into account. Planning is critical. We need to plan. We have been working with APA in terms of analyzing jointly the challenges of the vulnerable territories in Portugal, which was a very interesting exercise, I think 3 months ago, 4 months ago, in order to give information to the political decision in terms of what will be the roadmap for the development in those regions. Coming to Algarve again, I'm an optimistic, as you know, Elena. And when you say, well, I cannot see the green grass around a house, you get mad, But trust in the technology, because technology is not only about plants and osmosis. It's also about the value chain, about the way that our partners are innovating. For instance, grass. I know that the golf courses are investing a lot in innovation, using grass that don't use almost water at all. So this is a common challenge. It's not only water utilities, it's not only universities and academia, it's also the economic agents, because I believe that economic development must go on. But it must change in terms of the efficient use of the resources and in transforming the industry itself, each industry. I don't know if I was clear, but.
Well, I would like to have some comments. I was invited by the tourist associations in Europe for a big conference in Barcelona just to talk about this. You can imagine, your tourism sites are around the coast in the south where we have a water scarcity. Yes, I don't know, probably you are living in a nice place with sunshine, but all the people that are living in the rain regions, their dream is to spend the vacation in south, and they won't like to see the flowers, to have a swimming pool, to have green grass. And for this reason, I am very happy that Alexandra said this. They have a lot of innovation to develop grass, but the greening is extremely important. You will kill the tourists with this, and we have a lot of opportunity to diversify urban uses, to use recycled water for flighting, the cleaning of the canalization, car washing and so on. So we can, the good approach is to go to diversify these uses, fit for purpose reuse. In coastal area, a major problem with an addition, and nobody is talking about this, is the salt intrusion and the sewers. Because when, and so this is the problem that I never heard in Europe. We need now a huge investment, for example, to renew our infrastructure, because in Europe we have very old infrastructure, and this is trillions we need to spend for this. And the problem is that we, to reuse the water, in fact, we have the seawater intrusion. When we have salts and wastewater, the conventional biological treatment is not working well. This water with high salt concentration cannot be used for golf course irrigation. So we have such kind of I cannot find the word, but so it's not sustainable. So we need to start with this. What they did in Singapore before to develop the reuse, they rehabilitated all the sewers to stop any intrusion. I visited plants in the north. They are treating clean water. In wastewater treatment plants, we are treating the river, but in all coastal area around the world, the problem is the salt concentration, and nobody is measuring. And when we are using this water and golf courses, I say, oh my God, it's not good because my greens are now yellow. So we need to have this collaboration. The different plants, we have salt-resistant grass. Yes, they can tolerate up to 3 millisiemens per meter, very high concentration, 304 of the salt. Yes, but we need to look this and to start with the rehabilitation and canalization when we build the infrastructure to have such kind of holistic approach. So we have the solution, but we need to proceed like, to provide innovation tools, but to keep green. And another example, I am very happy to hear that you are greening Lisbon, because I also worked in Tokyo. In Tokyo they constructed a lot of concrete, big buildings, but now with the climate change, they say that the temperature is becoming very, very high during the summer. So what they are doing, not only to put the trees, and they are keeping their gardens. So now they are treating wastewater with reverse osmosis to make the river. We have a river, several rivers in Tokyo that fed it with reverse osmosis recycled water, very high quality, just for well-being of the people. I was recently in Japan. During the weekend, the children are going in the water. They have picnics in some area. So we need also, to give water to the nature, because we deal with the climate change. We need also to deal with the air we respire. When we have not green area and water, in the concrete cities, it's not possible to live. The temperature is rise, you have not air, you cannot live. So this is the solution, and we have we can help. Water is very key pillar, you know, for sustainable development in urban areas. And rural, of course, because the food nexus is important. We will not feed our tourists with vegetables coming from China or of Chile, okay?
20 seconds, Alexandra.
Saline intrusion is a big problem in Algarve. In some plants we have that huge problem, and maybe we need to do reverse osmosis due to that. And it's not about the seawater, you know? It's not about the seawater. No, 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 no. Who knows Algarve knows that most of the houses have a swimming pool. And it's the trend is to use salt for the maintenance of the pool. And the backwash, the daily backwash of the pool goes into the sewer system with high concentrations of salt. That's the problem.
That's why we are now assisting in the development of INO standards, for instance, for swimming pools. So to avoid this kind of discharges, yeah. And with this, I would say that, well, myself, I had a lot of questions for this audience, but we have to stop now. With this message, Alexandra told us about one water, that's for sure, and also one health, because we need to have healthy water, healthy people, healthy economy, healthy environment, soil, because even if we avoid, if we use salt-resistant species, then we will be deteriorating the soil quality. So, and with this one everything, I just want to ask you a big round of applause for all our speakers, and to you for staying with us. And now we shall move to from science to culture, and we will be having a relaxing moment of music. Joana, pode passar aquela coisa.
So we are going straight away to have really this concert for Portuguese guitar. So it's by the Ricardo Gama and João Correia. They are going to play Portuguese guitar about Carlos Paredes and some inspiration. Sim. So we are not leaving the room yet because the Portuguese guitar concert is going to be here prior to going to outside. So afterwards you'll have right to have a beer and a glass of wine and to celebrate with a cake. So we are most grateful to Junta de Freguesia de Alvalade. I don't know whether we have anybody here from so where is? Okay. So thank you very much to Junta de Freguesia de Alvalade for having sponsored this great moment. I would also like to inform you that the municipality of Lisbon, one of the many contributions for this conference, and they were many, was the design, so the logo of the conference and the image. And they invited an artist called João Machado to do the design of the logo and to design the poster. João Machado is an artist from Oporto, and he really dedicated time to design the poster. And it is my pleasure to inform you that the municipality printed a poster for all the participants. So when you are getting out the room, please collect your poster as a souvenir for this conference. So now I give place to our musicians as soon as you are prepared.
as you all speak in English, so I'm doing the same, but worse. So these first songs that we played were two songs from Carlos Paredes, and the next one is a Carlos Paredes song as well, and it's called Action. And it's about the movement of the waves in the river, yeah? Because Carlos Paredes at the time did this song with Fernando Alvim, that was the guy which played the guitar with them. So they composed the music by phone. He was like saying, do this, do that, but everything by phone. And it's very funny. So we're going to play for you, and we hope you like it, because we're going to like it very much.
same time. You're going to like it. It's called A Vida, a Minha Viagem, and in English it's like the life, the soul and the journey. It's very poetic. You're going to like it. Ricardo composed this a long time ago. How many years ago, Ricardo? A long time ago, 20 years. 20. Yeah, 20 years. And you know, Ricardo is an engineer too. What is your engineer, Ricardo? It's agroalimentar. I don't know how we say this in English, but it's like food engineer. Very important engineer. But he's a better musician. So let's go. For you, the life journey and this song. Let's go. The theater. much for being here today. It was a very good day. It was a day full of water coming from the sky, but we enjoyed it a lot. It was good. I'm really happy because, you know, I met my friend who is my friend since we were like 5 years old. In Alentejo, we used to play football together. Who played very well, I played very badly. But he was my friend at the same time. It was very good, Rui. I was not expecting this visit here. And the next song we're going to play, it is variations from Fado Lovers. It's a fast song. It's very funny and interesting, and I think you're going to like it. And this is Ricardo, I'm João, and we are very happy, and we hope you have a great party outside then. Okay, thank you very much.